Urgent Steelers fan, look at what just happened. Nobody saw this coming, huh? But first, make sure to subscribe to the channel because we bring you daily videos with the latest your team news, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. Pittsburgh radio host says George Pickens will be traded during 2025 NFL Draft. Will the Steelers move on from George Pickens? The Pittsburgh Steelers are a team to watch for the next month for multiple reasons. For starters, they are all but certainly signing quarterback Aaron Rodgers. Next, they could be on the verge of making another blockbuster trade, but being the senders rather than the receivers this time around. Pittsburgh finally made their big splash trade for a star receiver when they acquired DK Metcalf from the Seattle Seahawks and immediately signed him to a long-term extension. This left many believing that the Steelers could move on from George Pickens, considering they paid Metcalf, and he and Pickens, for lack of a better term, do the same thing. They are both deep ball receivers who aren't known for refined route trees. If you don't believe me, look at their numbers over the last 2 seasons. George Pickens, 122 catches, 2,040 yards, 7 YPR, 8 touchdowns. DK Metcalf, 132 catches, 2,106 yards, 16 YPR, 13 touchdowns. Combine that with the fact that this wide receiver class in the 2025 NFL Draft is very deep, and Pickens' history of on-field tantrums and behind-the-scenes struggles, and the dots begin to connect. Chris Muller of 93.7. The fan agrees with this notion and made a bold prediction just over 2 weeks ahead of the draft. George Pickens will not be a Steeler by the end of night 2 of the draft, Muller said. I don't think Mulsey is crazy here. Steelers doing homework on first-round WRs, and players projected to go in the second round. That's a waste of time if they know they're keeping Pickens. There are teams that should be willing to give up a day 2 pick as the main component of a trade package for Pickens. The Los Angeles Chargers are the team that comes to mind immediately, considering they have Ladd McConkey and a lot of question marks. Most notably, they have no deep threat. The New England Patriots are another team that comes to mind. They need a real deep threat to complement Drake May, and I'd bet Mike Vrabel sees more than one similarity between Pickens and A.J. Brown. Should Pittsburgh really be willing to deal Pickens, that would also mean they are taking a receiver. Early, potentially in the first round. Regardless, they will have suitors if that's the route they want to go. Pausing this news just to say that if you want YouTube to keep recommending the latest, the black and gold news to you, it's very important that you leave a like on this video. Thanks. Now let's get back to the news. Steelers officially meet with new quarterback amid Aaron Rodgers games. The Pittsburgh Steelers know that waiting on an Aaron Rodgers decision might cost them. The 4-time MVP has made it clear that he is not only taking his time, but keeping his options open. In light of that, Pittsburgh has shifted their focus to a completely different find of quarterback. Steelers officially focus on new quarterback. Amid Aaron Rodgers games, the Pittsburgh Steelers having a chance to select Shedeur with the 21st pick was unthinkable a few months ago. Now, the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette reports that the All-American is on his way to Pittsburgh this week, according to Jerry Dulac of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, while Colorado's Shedeur Sanders is still expected to be the second quarterback off the board. In this year's NFL Draft, there could be a big gap between when he and Cam Ward are taken. Fans were a bit shook by the update on social media. That's an interesting one, Ian Rappaport replied. Man, if the Steelers can somehow land Shedeur Sanders, it will feed so many families in Pittsburgh for years to come, a user said. Pitt drafts. Browns trade for him in year 4, Tony Grossi predicted. Give us him over Aaron Rodgers, please, a fan begged. When Prime said he likes these colors, everyone thought he meant Saints when he really meant black gold for Steelers. Another person commented, please let him drop to 21. Another user exclaimed, the NFL will absolutely regret that expletive, I promise. LOL. Pittsburgh Steelers send a clear message to Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is still holding out on a decision, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are in limbo. As the time ticks away until the NFL Draft and the team shows interest in Jackson Dart and Shedeur Sanders, Pittsburgh is starting to put some pressure on Rodgers. Ian Rappaport of NFL Network says the visits with Dart and Sanders hold weight as the backup plan to Rodgers, and views it as the Steelers subtly telling Rodgers to hurry up. I would say the message is, you are now on the clock because the Steelers have been very patient with Rodgers. Free agency was 1,000 years ago, Rappaport said on Good Morning Football. by the Steelers bringing in Shedeur Sanders, they made 2 points. One, if Rodgers doesn't come to the Steelers, they're probably going to have to draft a quarterback somewhere. And the other part of this is like, Rodgers, if you tell us after the draft, we're going to have to protect ourselves. So he's a little bit on the clock too. Team president Art Rooney said of the annual league meetings last week the team would be willing to wait for Rodgers for a little while longer, and he did not envision this process taking so long. The Steelers have Mason Rudolph and Skylar Thompson under contract. With all the work they have put into the NFL Draft's quarterback class, the team is shaping up to take a quarterback at some point, whether in the first or middle rounds. Pat McAfee's Big Night Ot Show in Pittsburgh is on Wednesday, and has long been rumored to be where Rodgers announces he will sign with the Steelers. Head coach Mike Tomlin said the team had not given Rodgers a definitive timeline as of last week. While that might be true, the team at least has to protect itself if Rodgers chooses retirement or to wait it out for another job to open up at some point in the offseason. The Steelers pull about face on Shedeur Sanders. Ahead of NFL Draft up until April 8th, the Pittsburgh Steelers had not publicly shown much interest in Colorado quarterback Shedeur Sanders ahead of the 2025 NFL Draft. After choosing not to heavily scout Sanders at his Colorado Pro Day on April the 4th, some questioned whether or not the top-tier QB prospect was on the Steelers' radar at all. Pittsburgh has been linked to quarterback classmates like Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe, Will Howard, Tyler Show, and Quinn Ewers, among others. But a Sanders team visit had yet to materialize. That changed on Tuesday as the Steelers shifted course on the Buffalo Star. Sources: Colorado QB Shedeur Sanders is scheduled to visit the Steelers later this week. Fox Sports NFL insider Jordan Schultz reported on April 8th, reminding Pittsburgh holds the no .21 pick in the draft. Later, in a follow-up post, Schultz added the Steelers remain very interested in Aaron Rodgers, and the hope is an agreement eventually happens. But Pittsburgh has done extensive work on this year's QB class, and Shedeur Sanders is now scheduled to be in the building on Thursday, per source. Given the rumors that Sanders could slide on draft night, potentially as far down as no .21 overall, Pittsburgh will do their due diligence. Who knows, a great pre-draft visit could even push the Steelers to consider a trade up in round 1. Shedeur Sanders, repost Steelers. Jersey swap ahead of. Team visit, labeling it Legendary Sanders, also commented on the April 8th news on his Instagram story, although he didn't say much. While reposting a fan-made jersey swap of Sanders in a Steelers uniform, the collegiate star simply captioned the pick Legendary. For those who don't know, this response is on par with Sanders' brand, the Colorado signal caller. And son of NFL Hall of Famer Deion Sanders often wears a large chain with that word. His Instagram bio also reads, like his father. One of Sanders' greatest strengths is his confidence and self-belief. Many have doubted his ability and picked apart his skill set throughout the NFL draft process, but Sanders has not wavered in what he expects out of his career. That's an attribute that an elite motivator like head coach Mike Tomlin could key in on when meeting Sanders face-to-face. NFL. Insider Adam Schefter believes Shedeur Sanders is only quarterback Pittsburgh would consider in first round of NFL draft. During the latest edition of the Adam Schefter podcast, the NFL insider fanned the flames of Sanders to the Steelers. I was of the mind that Pittsburgh was not taking a quarterback in round 1, Schefter began. I think the only quarterback that they would consider, me reading between the lines, would be Shedeur Sanders, but I can't imagine he's going to slide to 21. Would Pittsburgh be willing to trade up to a certain point to go get Shedeur Sanders if he gets past those other spots? He pondered. Continuing, if the Cleveland Browns don't take Shedeur Sanders at 2, and if the New York Giants don't take Shedeur Sanders at 3, and that is the feel that I'm getting recently, where is Shedeur Sanders going? It's a fair question. Although there are a couple of other teams ahead of the Steelers, like the New Orleans Saints at no .9, or possibly Tampa Bay at no .19, who could also be searching for a long-term answer at quarterback. And now, Steelers fan, I want to hear from you. What's your opinion on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I don't know if you know this, but your opinion matters a lot for the black and gold. It'll be back any moment with more Steeler Nation news. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go.